Mental toughness is a really interesting topic in coaching. A lot of coaches will claim that they know what mental toughness is, or they'll believe that there's a way of developing mental toughness, or they'll talk about mental toughness in broad terms like that athlete's really tough, or that athlete's really hard, or that athlete's really disciplined. And most coaches have got a general idea of what mental toughness is. Having worked with a lot of professional teams and elite level endurance athletes over many, many years, my model of mental toughness is when an athlete can continue to perform their job, to do the job they've been trained to do, regardless of what happens to them in training or competition. So that if they're a football player, regardless of pain, fatigue, stress, challenging circumstances, whether they're winning or they're losing, they continue to do the job that they were trained to do, regardless of what happens to them. And this is such an important thing, because if that's an understandable and a workable definition of what mental toughness is, we can then coach it. We can then take mental toughness out of the realm of the ethereal, if you like, that mental toughness is hardness, or it's perseverance, or it's commitment, or it's dedication, or it's the ability to overcome adversity. Once we understand that mental toughness is actually something real, the capacity of an athlete to do the job they've been trained to do, regardless of what happens, we can then start to really coach it. I want to share an example of something that I've done recently with a professional football team. I asked the coaches, how could I help? They said, can you help us improve mental toughness? I asked them what they believe mental toughness actually was. Their response was, well, a player is mentally tough if they can get a hit, if they can have a collision with another player and move on quickly and do their role. I said, well, we can measure that. We can actually measure mental toughness. And on talking further to the coaching group, where they wanted to see an athlete demonstrate mental toughness, again, remembering that mental toughness is the ability of an athlete to do the job they've been trained to do, regardless of what's happening to them. They said, look, where we want to see mental toughness demonstrated is where an athlete has been hit or had a collision with another player, where an athlete has missed an opportunity that perhaps they should have converted, where an athlete gets a poor decision from an umpire or from a referee or an official, where a player's made a mistake, where they've actually made an error that may have let the team down, and when an athlete's fatigued. They're the 5 situations that we want to see an athlete demonstrate mental toughness, demonstrate their ability to do what we've trained them to do. What we did after that was put in place a series of measurements while the athletes were playing the game. When we saw one of those 5 things happen, or any of those 5 things happen, we would flag that on the video and look at what had happened before and after that particular incident, which might be a player getting hit, or a player making a mistake, or a player missing an opportunity, or a player getting a poor umpiring or an officiating decision against them, or when they get fatigued, and then talk to the player and say, look, your skill level or your intensity or your performance dropped when one of those things happened. We actually found a way of operationalizing mental toughness. The great thing for coaches is this, is that in your own sport, there will be times and there will be situations where you can see a player is no longer doing the job they were trained to do because something has happened to them. Similar to the way the football coaches came up with those 5 examples for us to track. There'll be something that you can identify where you can see the athlete's performance decrease when something's happened to them. And the beauty of that is you can then create training practices and create situations in preparation which can duplicate, can mimic what they're likely to experience in competition conditions, make them more challenging and more demanding than the competition they're preparing for, and in doing so, enhance the athlete's mental toughness. Mental toughness is real. Mental toughness is measurable. Mental toughness is something that can be coached.